Hello and welcome to the Empower Couples podcast, where here you get modern, non-boring relationship advice for you and your partner to communicate like pros, fight smarter, and stay on the same team no matter the challenge that you face. I am one of your hosts, Aaron Freeman.
And I'm Jocelyn Freeman, but you all just know us as the Freemans.
And this episode is Set Your Marriage Up for Success with 3 Simple Habits.
It really is the culmination of all the small things that you do on a daily, on a weekly, and a monthly basis. And that's what we're going to cover for you today. And it isn't complex things that your partner is really looking for or that's really going to have your partnership thrive. So I think you're really going to enjoy these. But you and I were having a great conversation over breakfast, Aaron, and we were just reminiscing about this powerful kind of life point. Do you want to share what that is?
And maybe it's just me, but I don't think it's true. But I do have this experience, and I want to invite all of you listening into thinking about your life and what your life is actually made up of. For me, I do spend a good amount of time thinking about sort of the bigger events, the more exciting things. And yes, there was Sky being born, there was the birthday party, there's, for us having a day where we have so many interactions on social media, or the podcast is doing great, or
traveling to speak at the retreat.
Yeah, good point. Something new outside of the norm, something exciting, something that's really expansive. And I think I spend a lot of time looking for where is that next moment coming from, and thinking that's what makes up our life together, like the exciting part. And you were right. You brought this up to me where life is really what you do for the majority of the time. And however small things like having breakfast at your breakfast table, putting your baby to sleep, sitting on the ground, playing with your baby, the opportunities where you're just sitting on the couch maybe with your partner at night, the nighttime routine that you have, whether you're connecting or not, whatever you're doing on the daily basis, however small, adds up to be such a big percent of your life experience. So you really want to start to look at, well, how is my experience during those very small but everyday types of things?
Yeah.
Am I wishing I was somewhere else? Am I wishing it was a different experience, more exciting, more new, more fresh? Maybe you are kind of dissatisfied with it, or you're just neutral. So how's your attitude? How's your energy? What's your focus? And that's going to make up your majority of your life experience. So it's really worth it to focus on how am I going to experience these small moments, because that actually is my life. It's not somewhere else. It's not the bigger things. Like, that is actually it.
Yeah, so true. And it actually leads to our word for the year. So we have a tradition that we've done. I mean, it's got to be like 6 or 7 years. I'd have to think back or look back in our journals, but I can remember the last 3 years or even just the last 2. And then we'll announce our word for 2023. So in, 2021, our word for the year was trust. And that's when we moved to Charlotte. That's when we conceived Sky. It was a big year of trust, and that was what we were focusing on. And the reason, by the way, that we create a word for the year is that it kind of casts a focus for us, a big intention. And if we kind of keep the word top of mind, we personally find that it actually does happen in life. Like, life will present the opportunities for that word to show up, right? So there were a lot of opportunities to trust in that year. Then in 2022, which we're in the final days of this year as we're recording, it was opportunity. And it for sure was a year of opportunity. And not only like quote unquote positive opportunities, or the ones that we like say, oh yeah, we want that one.
Or you could say opportunities that turned out how we thought, or opportunities that we took advantage of or stepped into and turned out even positively yet, maybe.
Yeah, that's true. So of course, having Sky and becoming parents and learning that was a huge opportunity. We had the investment property, and that was an opportunity that we didn't have go how we planned, and it is still presenting to us amazing opportunities. It's turning out, right?
I don't know if I say amazing yet, but I'm stepping into that. It is opportunity, right? And it's about that showing up that way. And then in the daily moments, the everyday, like how are we showing up around that?
Yes.
To bring it back to the entire point, if you cast your intention for the year, which we invite you to come up with your own word and we'll reveal our word for this year, but then notice how you want to bring that back into your daily experience and notice how the daily life moments can show up inside of that background, that framework of your word, because again, that's where your life actually is, not these big things that might happen.
Absolutely. And so before we go to our 2023 word, I think it's also exciting that with this, word being opportunity for this year, is we had in our business amazing growth that we couldn't have even planned for. I mean, it just feels like a total miracle, some of the things that have happened in our business with couples. So it really has been a year of opportunity. Now for 2023, drum roll, the word is renew. And so we were, talking about kind of what's the feeling we want. And we've got some exciting things. We're actually moving to another part of Arizona. We're moving to Gilbert. I think that's the first time we're telling anybody, really.
Oh, okay.
So we're moving to Gilbert, which if you don't know Arizona, it's like a 45-minute drive from where we are now. The valley is really, really big here. And so that's going to be new. We're going to be in a new home and we're going to be around new friends. And our daughter is going to be going to a new, daytime program for a few hours a day to interact with other kids. We have new projects in our business that we're going to be focusing on and in our own life. And I think for me too, I want to renew kind of my relationship with God and renew my focus on that, renew my focus on health. I have been not doing, so great with exercise. And I know you feel that too.
That's true.
So for us, renew really speaks to me because I love this definition. It's about giving fresh life or strength to something. And I love that, fresh life and strength to it. So it's going to be a year of fresh life, don't you think, Aaron?
Yeah, well, it's going to probably show up through what we set our intention around and then really looking again in the day-to-day moments. And when you said that and you had the drum roll, probably renew didn't land for you that's listening as, whoa, that's an inspiring
it's not like
word.
Motivate.
Dang! But that is for us. Well, I'll say for myself, it really is around the new chapter type of feeling. Mm-hmm. I feel as if, in many regards, yes, where we live, but also kind of how we focus on our business, how we reach couples. We're going to be doing a brand new event. And that's probably the first time we said that. Yeah, we're still not talking about that yet, but doing things differently to even create, for me, renewing the culture or the community around marriage as well. And that's what our event's going to lead into. So anyway, renew that freshness around creating a new chapter.
Mm-hmm. I love that.
And so I now realize looking back that we set opportunity and then noticing how challenged sort of emerged from that. I'm now taking on a new realization, a new insight about this, that I'm not going to have the expectation of things being quote unquote smooth or there being no challenges in now renew. Mm-hmm. But again, in the daily, as we move forward into these actual 3 simple habits, mm-hmm. I'm going to be taking that lesson into this new year and seeing how that changes how I experience a freshness, a bringing strength to this new chapter.
Absolutely. So that creating a word for the year is really just a bonus tip for you. We aren't even into the 3 simple habits. So let's dive in. And the first one is something we invite you to focus on daily. So you're going to notice the first one is a daily tip. The second one's a weekly. And then the third is going to be a monthly thing to focus on. So first, every single day, express appreciation out loud to your partner. And it is especially important to make sure your partner feels seen and feels recognized for all the efforts and the ways that they contribute to your family, to your household. Now, we're not saying just focus on the doing, like thank you for always doing the dishes, right? Aaron, I know you'll probably want to speak to making sure they feel appreciated for who they are as a person. But I know as a working mom and just the amount I do, like when you actually say out loud, like, hey, I love and I love seeing how much you spend time with Sky and, how you mother her, it makes me just feel like, okay, it's seen. Like, this is a lot of energy I'm expending, and the fact that you see it and you recognize it, it just makes a difference. So expressing appreciation daily. What else would you add?
Well, there's also, as a way to frame how you speak to your partner around this, I would also really look for the places that your partner is making your own life easier. Because I think that's a place we take that a lot for granted. And those are a lot of the times where a partner can fall into that feeling of being like a mother almost, or being kind of like the role, the cleaner, the dishwasher, the cook. And I think it's, again, going back to this whole thing about the small moments, you want to appreciate all the small moments and the small roles, especially the things that your partner is doing that makes your own life easier. Because why? Again, that's where life is actually happening. So you really want to take full advantage of those experiences. And a way to do that is to show that appreciation on all these small things with your partner. I was reflecting on this, and there are just so many areas that you kind of make my life easier, and I don't think I share that all the time. That is a place that I take it for granted. So sharing that appreciation, and to your point, it's not just the doing, it's how your partner is showing up in their attitude, their characteristics of the person that they are. So you want to make sure you're appreciating the person that they are, not just the role or the activities that they are completing.
Yes. And by the way, these 3 habits that we're sharing, we're recommitting to these. So when you hear these, they might be things that you were doing in the past and you lost sight of them, or that you want to recommit to. And all 3 of them, we're like, okay, we're going to focus on these again, recommit.
We're renewing.
Yes, we're renewing our commitment to these. Let's go to the second simple habit to focus on, and that is having your weekly meeting. Now, we like to call it a weekly family meeting. You could call it a weekly marriage meeting, just a time where you specifically are setting it aside to discuss your needs, to discuss what each of you are hoping for in the relationship, what you're wanting more of. This would be a good time to discuss if there was anything that didn't feel resolved from the week. And a big reason why this is helpful to have a specific meeting for it is, number one, we know, like, you're often probably really busy during the week, and you don't, before bedtime, want to always bring up the stuff. And then you don't have to blindside your partner. And, here they are trying to relax, and now you're wanting to discuss their relationship. And so, but you also don't want to just keep pushing it off because we're busy. You need to set this time aside, and it is intentional. You want to actually, and we did a whole episode on how to have a weekly family meeting. We could even reference that episode number in the show notes. We should do that. But make sure you are giving each other a chance to share. There's no defensiveness. There's no, how could you feel that way? Oh yeah, well, I'm doing all these other things. This is the safe space to discuss all the things that you want, you need, you hope for that aren't resolved. It's like your relationship check-in. Anything else you'd add to that one?
Well, with the expectations conversation, which we've done a podcast about, but it's something we go much, much further into during like our couples workshop or coaching, and just to renew all of our memory. You're only ever upset at something because you have an unmet expectation going on for yourself. And expectations are not at all bad. It's you want to recognize where they're showing up. They always will, because they are also future focused, and you don't always see them coming. What I mean is, why are we setting a word for this next year of renew is because the desires we have in the change in the experience of our marriage and our life. So standing here today, it's not that we, you and I, or with Sky, or how life has gone, we're not upset or disappointed by anything. It's all of our life experience up until now has shown us a different path of experience that we want to take. And so that in and of itself, that desire is an expectation. So it's new for us now looking forward. You will always have that as a human being and as a partner. So you can't suppress that. You would be suppressing life itself. You'd be dead. So it's not about not having expectations, but you have to be able to bring them up and communicate them with your partner. And you really want to do this on this weekly basis so that you're looking ahead and saying, are we on path to the life that we want to create together? Maybe we've achieved what we wanted to, or maybe we set down a path and it really isn't going the route that we thought. And maybe we need to course correct. So this can cause a lot of tension in a relationship when it is brought up as if I'm not satisfied or happy. But that's kind of going backwards. So you have to be looking forward. What are our expectations and desires for the life we want to live next? Hence why we're saying what we're feeling is a new chapter.
Yes.
But we're using that to go forward to share what our expectations may or may not be.
Absolutely.
And so you really want to use that aspect so that you're getting all of the tripping hazards sort of out of the way, and you're setting on a course of your life and your marriage of one that you're now really aligned with going forward.
Yeah, so he's talking about expectations as one part of your weekly meeting, right? So discussing that ahead, what's coming up this week, what do we each need, what are our expectations, but also again, just, how are you feeling in our intimacy? And that's why the weekly family meeting structure that we teach in the other episode is really great. Make sure you listen back at that one, and
and not just intimacy, right? I think you meant
it's all of
the
them.
areas.
Exactly. So let's go into this.
Which, just to say, could be your finances, could be in your parenting, could be in your leisure, of course, your intimacy, your communication, your conflict resolution, your spirituality, whatever that is for you as a couple, like really checking in on all those areas, because it's easy to let some of them fall to the wayside, right?
Absolutely.
And to ask you a question, what has been beneficial for us, I believe, and I want to hear from you, is sometimes when we are intentionally talking about it, we allow a certain area to not be that much of our priority. Does that make sense? Is that how you experienced it?
Yeah, like you're saying, hey, we realize in this season, this one, like for example, our social life right now, it's not like one of the top 5 priorities. Is that kind of what you're talking about?
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, yeah, we both realize we're not quote unquote as satisfied with our social life and kind of being out there and doing things with friends and, the normal, I don't know, just, being out there. But we both realize that's okay right now. That's not the focus this season.
Yeah, and I brought that up because I don't want you, the listener, to have these areas go not looked at, not a light shown on them. Because if you communicate and you're on the same page, it's a different story. Rather than if I don't share it with you, and the social life to me could start to feel like an area of disappointment. But if you really look at, take your word for the year, you're saying renew, and then you're doing this weekly family meeting and you're checking in on these areas, I don't know, maybe you can't have every area of your relationship be a 10.
Right.
Because maybe you just don't have the capacity, or maybe it's just not that season. So when you come together and you are able to agree that, yeah, we have some desires around social life, and we acknowledge that this probably isn't the season, or this isn't the quarter of a year, right? 3 months to actually focus on it, then you're able to together sort of shelf it rather than have it linger in the background as something you get disappointed by, like every couple of weeks, but you're holding that in, and that causes some kind of, discontent between you and your partner.
Absolutely. Well said. So then going to the third simple habit to focus on, and this is related to a priority that I'd like to create for us. And what I'm inviting you all into is to have some kind of a monthly surprise experience for each other.
Ooh.
And this is in a way kind of a double win, because number one, you are creating meaningful time together, which is needed, and monthly would hopefully be the minimum, right? Of course, we'd hope that you would have, more time together that's special, but at a minimum, monthly. Then the second piece, it being a surprise for each other. This shows thoughtfulness. This shows that you are putting in effort to make something special for each other. And it kind of shares the effort required. So if I take on the surprise this month, you don't have to worry about it. And then next month you take it on, and then I don't have to worry about it there. So it's kind of splitting it, as opposed to, oh, hey, it's our date night. What do you want to do? I don't know. I'm kind of tired, and right. And then it doesn't become as exciting. So I have this intention for us of every other month taking a turn and surprising each other, because I also am hoping for just more playful moments together. We do work from home. We do like our business being from home, but we're home a lot, and then we're with Sky a lot.
Yeah.
And, play is important. I think we all have that childlike spirit within us, and sometimes it's suppressed and it's dampened. And so, us renewing our life in this next year, we're going to be in a new area in Gilbert. So I think it'd be fun to surprise each other every other month. Are you in?
Yeah, I'm in.
Okay.
And it made me think of this. When I say I'm in, this is a good reminder to everyone. You can't just say I'm in because your partner is requesting it and then you don't really feel like it's up to you. It's an opportunity to lead in that area, at least for the month that you're taking responsibility for. You can't have requests by your partner that sound like agreements between the two of you really only be, oh, that was my partner's. So if I'm going to say yes to this, I really need to, when it comes to my month, which maybe it would be like March, that I'm stepping in with my full effort, my full presence, my full playfulness to actually create a really great experience for you, and not just have it be like something I have to do.
Yes. I think
Because
so.
that's is missing the whole intention of the whole thing.
Right, exactly. So we wanted to present that as the third, so that you are, creating meaningful moments together. So those are the 3 simple habits that we're inviting you into. Any closing notes from your end?
Well, it also starts to create more shared memories for you both that are outside of that norm, outside of that routine. So that was something I wanted to just add, because I think that's a big part of why marriages can start to feel sort of mundane,
Stagnant,
kind of boring, maybe. You're doing a lot of the same activities and tasks over and over again. And like we said from the very beginning, whatever you're doing for the most amount of time, like in the long stretch, it's the daily things. So you do want to start to create more shared memories, more of these types of experience more often, so that becomes more of your experience together. And then you heard us say this on a few episodes past, where if you do have it be something that challenges you both, you can create more of a bond together. So it doesn't always have to be a huge experience. We're not talking about like rock climbing or going to another city and traveling or something very big. It just has to be something new, something outside of the norm, and also something that's playful and exciting. But if you add the element of the two of you might not be good at it, like you and I did dancing, and you go through something that you're both not good at, and you are challenged together as a team, and you watch yourselves get better, it creates a bond through, wow, we weren't very good, and I saw how much you progressed. Like that was really great. We were both pretty bad at that in the beginning, but look what we were able to do. Like that was really fun. I feel more connected and bonded to you because of it.
It's so true. So as a reminder, the 3 simple habits: number 1, express daily appreciation for each other. 2nd, have your weekly meeting together to discuss your relationship and discuss expectations. And then 3rd is a monthly surprise experience for each other, and you can take turns every other month. So please let us know if you are going to join us with these 3 simple habits in this next year. And we are excited for our renewed experience of life and marriage and partnership. So please let us know if you also create a word for the year. And as a request, if you benefit from our podcast, would you mind hitting the 5-star on whichever platform that you're listening to, and maybe write a sentence or 2? That really makes a difference for all the effort that we put into the podcast. And then also, if you're desiring to continue growing as a couple, make sure you dive into our other resources outside of the podcast. And that could be our book, The Argument Hangover. That can be booking a breakthrough session with us while they're available. They're filling very, very quickly. Our web classes, our communication mastery program. So make sure you explore all of our links and our website to really see what's going to support you and your partner. And with that, we are grateful for you, and we will talk to you on the next episode.